Have you ever looked in the mirror and said, "I want to be rich. Can be rich. I will be rich"? Well, Florence Scovel Shinn's got news for you. Prosperity isn't about luck, it's about choice. The Bible backs it up. Faith, words, and action create an unstoppable flow of wealth. In this video, you're about to uncover how to turn your burning desire into real power, and that power into jaw-dropping results. Stick around until the end, and you'll see it's way easier and more achievable than you ever dreamed. Chapter 1. The Power of Decision. Wealth begins when you choose. Everything in life starts with a choice. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that a rock-solid decision is the first step toward prosperity because a wavering mind scatters energy like dust in the wind. The Bible nails this in James 1 verse 8. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. In plain English, if you can't make up your mind, you'll never see solid results. How many people do you know who keep saying, "One day I'll do it," or "I'll start when things get better"? That's the face of indecision, and it's a prosperity killer. Florence said your words are like seeds tossed into fertile soil. If you never plant them, you'll never reap a harvest. Deciding is the act of planting. Picture a traveler standing at a fork in the road. He stares at one path, then the other, but never takes a step. By the end of the day, he's still stuck, exhausted from overthinking right where he started. That's how so many people treat wealth. They want it, dream about it, talk about it, but never decide to go for it. Choosing prosperity doesn't mean having a fat bank account today. It's about saying deep in your soul, "I choose abundance. I reject lack. I'm walking toward wealth." That kind of resolve creates a spiritual energy that reshapes your reality. Florence loved to say, "Nothing happens until you claim it and say, 'This is mine.'" The Bible gives us another gem in Joshua 24 verse 15. "Choose this day whom you will serve." Joshua knew that a single choice opens the door to your future. Prosperity doesn't chase after those who procrastinate. It belongs to those who take a stand. Take Susan, a character I often bring up. She spent years stuck in a dead-end job, griping about bills. One day, fed up with waiting for a miracle, she declared, "I choose to be rich. I'm done living like this." From that moment, she started learning, shifting her words, and the universe responded. It wasn't instant magic, but it was the start of an unstoppable turnaround. If you want wealth, the first step isn't cash in your pocket. It's a decision in your heart. It's like flipping a switch that sets a spiritual machine in motion. Florence put it perfectly. What you choose, chooses you. When you choose wealth, opportunities, ideas, and the right people start choosing you back. So here's my challenge. Have you ever boldly, clearly declared your decision to prosper? If you're ready, drop this in the comments. I choose wealth now. That simple act is a powerful decree. Your words give life to your choices. And hey, if this is hitting home, give the video a like and hit that subscribe button. It helps us spread this message and strengthens your journey alongside a community that's also chosen to thrive. Chapter 2. I want. The legitimate desire that opens the heavens. Wanting is an invisible force that moves heaven and earth. It's not a whim, not just a "wouldn't it be nice" thought. It's a spiritual energy that, when aimed right, swings open doors you thought were locked tight. Florence Scovel Shinn said your desire is God's voice whispering inside you, pointing to what's already yours in the unseen realm. When you want something with pure intention, it's not selfish. It's a sign there's a spiritual birthright waiting for you to claim. The Bible backs this up in Mark 11 verse 24. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. True wanting is the first step of prayer. It's like reaching up and saying, "Father, I'm ready to receive what's already mine." But there's a difference between real wanting and shallow wishing. How many people say they want prosperity but secretly carry guilt, fear, or shame about money? That kind of wanting is weak, it's got no backbone. True desire comes with conviction, passion, and surrender. It's the "I want" that pulses through every fiber of your being, unapologetic and alive. Think about Joseph in Egypt. From a young age, he carried dreams of greatness. His brothers mocked him, tried to snuff out his ambition, but that desire wasn't arrogance. It was a divine seed. Even when he was imprisoned, humiliated, sold as a slave, Joseph never stopped wanting. That fire kept him going. The result? He rose to govern the greatest empire of his time. His "I want" cracked open the heavens because it was rooted in righteousness and God's purpose. The same goes for us. When you say, "I want to prosper," you're not chasing a pipe dream. You're claiming a right that's already yours. Florence put it this way: the desires of your heart are the Spirit's messages. Ignore them and you block your own soul. Remember Susan from earlier. She decided to reject a life of lack, but it was when she prayed, "Lord, I want the abundance that comes from you," that things really started moving. Soon after, she got an unexpected job offer and enrolled in a course that flipped her financial mindset. Her true desire pulled in answers that indecision never could. Here's the truth. A lot of people are scared to want. Scared it'll make them look greedy. Scared they'll fall short. But wanting prosperity isn't a sin. It's a sin to live small when God created you for greatness. Jesus said in John 10 verse 10, "I came that they may have life and have it abundantly." Abundance isn't the exception. It's the promise. Let me ask you, what's your "I want" today? What's that deep, soul-stirring desire you're maybe too afraid to own? Drop this in the comments. I want to prosper in fullness. That simple act aligns your words with your faith. If this is lighting a fire in you, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It spreads this message and seals a spiritual commitment to your own desire. Your "I want" is the first spark. It opens the heavens, but you've got to declare it with boldness and no fear. So decide now. Are you going to hide behind doubt, or will you embrace the desire God Himself planted in your heart? Chapter 3. I Can, Breaking Invisible Beliefs and Limits. Saying "I want" is the first step, but it's the "I can" that builds the bridge from desire to reality. The problem is, too many people get stuck right here. They think wanting is enough, but they're held back by invisible beliefs whispering day and night. You can't. You're not enough. This isn't for you. Those inner voices don't come from nowhere. They're echoes of things we heard growing up. Money doesn't grow on trees. So-and-so was born rich, not us. You should just be content. Those words turn into invisible walls. You see the promise of abundance ahead, but something keeps pulling you back. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that your subconscious is like a filing cabinet stuffed with old decrees. If it's full of limitations, you've got to swap them out for spiritual truths. That's where "I can" becomes a key. The Bible lays it out in Philippians 4 verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Not some things. Not when the economy's good. All things. The power doesn't come from your own grind. It comes from tapping into God's strength. Susan, our friend from before, learned this the hard way. When she got the chance to take a digital marketing course, her first thought was, "I can't. I don't have the money or the time." Those words were straight from her family's old script. But that night, reading Florence, she stumbled on a line. No wall can withstand a word of faith spoken with conviction. In tears, she declared, "I can learn, can prosper. I can change my story." The next day, out of the blue, an old friend offered her a huge discount on that same course. Coincidence? Nope. It was the universe responding to her new decree. Her "I can" shattered an invisible barrier. A lot of people mistake humility for powerlessness. But real humility isn't denying what you're capable of. It's knowing the power comes from God. In Matthew 25, the servant who buried his talent basically said, "I can't," and he lost even the little he had. But the servants who dared to multiply their talents, their actions screamed, "We can," and they thrived. To ask yourself, how many times have you said, "I can't," before even trying? How many opportunities slipped away because you didn't believe you were capable? Saying "I can" doesn't mean you know it all. It means you're ready to learn, grow, and trust in divine support. Florence said, "Through the spoken word, man programs the invisible." Every time you say, I can, you rewire your mind, silence the voices of lack, and make room for miracles. If this is stirring something in you, drop this in the comments. I can overcome my limits. Declare it loud as an act of faith. Hit that like button if you're ready to tear down invisible walls. And subscribe to the channel to catch the next steps in this life-changing journey. Remember, wanting is the desire, but I can is the permission. When you say, I can, you align with the Creator who's already declared you were born to prosper. Chapter 4. I do. The action that turns words into gold. Wanting is the spark. Believing you can is the fuel. But nothing happens until you hit the I do moment. This is where so many people hit a wall. They pray, they decree, they visualize, but they don't act. They forget that real faith isn't passive, it's motion. Florence Scovel Shinn used to say, words without action are just noise. She taught that when you declare your faith, you've got to take the next step, no matter how small or shaky it feels. The universe only responds to what you set in motion. Susan got this when, after saying I can, she actually signed up for that digital marketing course. She didn't have all the answers or know if she'd keep up. But by clicking that enroll button, she was shouting to the spiritual realm, I do. That single move broke the inertia and kicked off a chain of events that would reshape her future. The Bible drives this home in James 2 verse 26. As the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead. You can believe, you can declare, but if you don't move, you're stuck in the same spot. Think about Noah. He didn't just trust God's promise. He built the ark, even with no rain in sight. That action saved his family and changed history. Moses didn't just believe. He raised his staff at the Red Sea. David didn't just claim confidence. He ran toward Goliath, stone in hand. I do is where your desires and beliefs start taking shape. It's when the invisible begins to become real. Florence said, miracles happen when faith meets the right action. When Susan launched her first sales campaign, she was terrified. What if no one bought? What if she lost the little she'd invested? But she remembered, stopping is the same as giving up. So she launched. The result? Un sale. Just one. But it was enough to prove the wheel was turning. Here's the deal. Don't scoff at small beginnings. Every action is a brick in the foundation of your prosperity. God doesn't demand perfection. He demands movement. Let me ask you, how many plans have stayed on paper because you got stuck at I want or I can, but never stepped into I do? Procrastination is the biggest dream thief. If you feel it's time to act, drop this in the comments. I do. I act now. Say it out loud as a commitment to your prosperity. Like this video if you know it's time to put your faith in motion. Subscribe to the channel to keep up with every step of this spiritual and practical journey. Remember, wealth isn't magic. It's the marriage of faith and action. The gold shows up when your words meet your work. Chapter 5. The complete cycle. Thinking, speaking, acting, receiving. Prosperity isn't a roll of the dice. It follows a divine order, a foolproof spiritual cycle. Think, speak, act, receive. Break that flow, and you're stuck like a dammed-up river that can't flow. Florence Scovel Shinn put it like this. People fail because they don't align their thoughts, words, and actions with divine law. Thinking positive is useless if your mouth contradicts your mind. Speaking pretty words falls flat if your actions don't back them up. Susan learned this the hard way. She'd think about abundance but tell her mom, money's always tight. She'd say faith-filled words but act out of fear, too scared to invest or take a chance. The result? Nothing changed. Then she realized the cycle had to be complete. First, she tamed her mind. Instead of picturing failure, she started seeing opportunities. Next, she watched her words. Every one became a seed. Finally, she moved forward, even with fear nipping at her heels. That's when doors started swinging open. The Bible lays out this order in Mark 11 verses 23 to 24. If anyone says to this mountain, "Get up and throw yourself into the sea," and doesn't doubt in their heart but believes what they say will happen, it will be done. So whatever you ask for, believing you've received it, it will be yours. It's crystal clear. First you think and believe, then you speak to the mountain, act without doubting, and finally receive. This cycle isn't just spiritual, it's practical. Think of a farmer. He prepares the soil, think, plants the seeds, speak, waters and tends the land, act, and only then harvests, receive. Expecting a crop without planting is delusional. Planting but neglecting the care wastes the seed. Susan, once she embraced this, lived the full cycle. She pictured clients finding her products, think. She declared her daily sales out loud, even before seeing them, speak. She built campaigns and marketed with discipline, act. Soon after, she started reaping results bigger than she'd imagined, receive. Florence nailed it. The 4 steps are inseparable. When mind, mouth, and hands work together, the harvest is inevitable. So, where do you trip up in the cycle? Do you think but not speak? Speak but not act? Act but doubt you'll receive? Pinpointing your weak spot is the key to unlocking the flow. If this cycle clicks for you, drop this in the comments. I complete the cycle of prosperity. Like this video if you're ready to align your mind, mouth, and hands with divine abundance. Subscribe to the channel to catch every chapter of this life-changing journey. Remember, prosperity isn't luck, it's a sequence. Honor the cycle and you honor the law of life. Chapter 6. Practical Faith. How the Bible teaches how to multiply talents. There's a common mistake among those chasing spiritual prosperity: confusing faith with passivity. Too many say, "I believe," but stay frozen, expecting abundance to drop from the sky like some divine atom. The Bible's clear. Real faith is active, bold, and multiplies. Jesus' parable of the talents in Matthew 25 verses 14 to 30 lays it out. A master gave 3 servants different amounts of money. 2 of them invested, worked, and doubled what they got. The third, paralyzed by fear, buried his talent and did nothing. The outcome: the first 2 were rewarded, but the third was called out and lost even the little he had. This story hits hard. God doesn't want us to hoard gifts, ideas, or resources. He expects multiplication. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Faith without works is dead, and imagination without action is just a dream." She taught that true trust in God shows up when you fearlessly use what's already in your hands. Susan learned this when she earned her first digital marketing commission. It was small, barely enough for a bill. She could have played it safe like the fearful servant, tucking it away. Instead, she reinvested part of it in a more advanced course. That was faith in action, believing every seed sown in knowledge would come back multiplied. And it did. Practical faith doesn't dodge risk. It faces risk trusting in divine provision. Think of Peter walking on water. He only saw the miracle because he stepped out of the boat. Here's the kicker: the servant who buried his talent wasn't punished for losing money but for not acting. Fear froze him, and real faith doesn't coexist with paralysis. The key: practical faith blends inner trust with outward action. It's not waiting for God to do it all. It's moving forward, knowing He's got your back every step. Susan saw that the more she acted, the more doors opened. If she'd stayed stuck, repeating, "Someday it'll happen," nothing would have changed. It was through practical faith that her financial life started transforming. The Bible doubles down in James 2 verse 26. As the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead. Faith that doesn't move is empty. Florence put it this way: immediate obedience to the divine nudge is the proof of real faith. When you feel God's prompting, call that person, invest, try something new, and you act without hesitation, you're living the practical faith that multiplies talents. Oh, ask yourself, how many talents are you burying? How many ideas, gifts, or resources are locked away because of fear? The first step to prosperity is digging up what's already inside you. Drop this in the comments. I multiply my talents in faith. Like this video if you believe God trusts you to multiply. Subscribe for more revelations tying spirituality to prosperity. Remember, burying talents buries opportunities. Using talents opens the heavens over your life. Chapter 7: Hidden Resistances. Overcoming the voice of fear and doubt. It's not always a lack of opportunities that holds people back from prosperity. Often, it's a silent war in the mind. Internal resistance. That nagging voice whispering, "You won't make it. This is too big for you. What if you fail?" These aren't just stray thoughts. They're emotional strongholds, built over years from failures, criticism, and limiting beliefs passed down from family or society. Florence Scovel Shinn called this the inner lie. An invisible prison broken only by faith and the right words. We see this clearly in Numbers 13. Moses sent 12 spies to scout the promised land. 10 came back whining, "We're like grasshoppers compared to those giants." Only 2, Joshua and Caleb, declared, "We can take this land because God is with us." The people bought into the voice of fear and wandered in the desert for 40 years. Notice this. It wasn't the giants that defeated Israel. It was the doubt in their hearts. The same happens to us. Susan fought this battle daily. Even while studying, taking action, and seeing small wins, a voice inside her taunted, "What if it doesn't last? What if it's just luck?" That resistance wasn't external, not competitors or the economy, but her own thoughts trying to sabotage what God had already set in motion. Florence taught, "Doubt is the invisible enemy that steals your harvest before it's time." She added, "A word of faith, spoken with conviction, drives out fear like light drives out darkness." When Susan started swapping thoughts of defeat for decrees of victory, everything shifted. Instead of "I can't do this," she said, "I am a child of God's abundance." Instead of "I'm scared to take a risk," she declared, "The path to prosperity is already open before me." You beat internal resistance in 2 steps. First, recognize it. Second, replace it. Recognizing means catching that doubtful voice when it speaks. Replacing means refusing to give it power and answering with faith. Jesus faced this in the desert when the devil tried to make him question his identity. "If you are the Son of God," Matthew 4. Jesus didn't stay silent or cower. He responded with the word. That's our playbook too. So, how many times have you held back from trying because of fear? Drop this in the comments. I choose faith, not fear. If this message is firing you up, hit that like button to help others overcome their inner resistance. Subscribe and walk with us as we turn words into real prosperity. Remember, external giants only fall when you conquer the giants within. Chapter 8. The Discipline of Words. Decrees that shape reality. Words are seeds. And like any seed, they need to be nurtured with discipline. Tossing out a few positive phrases once and expecting endless harvests won't cut it. It takes consistency, focus, and deliberate repetition. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Your word is the brush that paints the canvas of your life." The Bible puts it plainly in Proverbs 18 verse 21. "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit." This isn't some fluffy metaphor. It's a spiritual law. What you say over and over shapes your thoughts, your feelings, and in due time, your circumstances. Susan realized this when she noticed her lips were trained for lack. "I can't afford it. There's never enough. It's too hard." Those everyday phrases were like bricks, building a wall against her own prosperity, so she decided to make a daily habit of decrees. Every morning before diving into her tasks, she would say, "I live in abundance because the Lord is my shepherd, and I lack nothing. I attract divine opportunities that align with my purpose. Money flows to me from expected and unexpected sources, always in harmony." These weren't just wishes. They were decrees spoken with faith. Florence explained, "A decree paves the way for the invisible to become visible." It's about discipline, not fleeting emotion. Here's a critical point. You can't decree prosperity in the morning and grumble about lack in the afternoon. That's like planting wheat and then dumping salt on the soil. The power lies in consistency, in keeping your words aligned with what your soul craves. We see this in Daniel's story. Despite pressure and opposing decrees, he stuck to his daily prayers without wavering. That disciplined consistency made him prosper in a foreign king's palace, even as an outsider. Susan learned that the discipline of words wasn't just about saying pretty things. It was about guarding every word, especially under pressure. When the urge to say, "I can't," crept in, she'd take a deep breath and replace it with, "All things work together for my good." Slowly, her mind rewired, and her actions started matching her new beliefs. So, let me ask, are you being disciplined with the words you speak every day? Drop a prosperity decree in the comments that you're claiming as your own today. If this chapter brought you clarity, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to learn how to use their words as a tool for creation. Subscribe to the channel for more teachings to fuel your journey toward abundance. Remember, a careless word is just hot air, but a disciplined word shapes your destiny. Chapter 9. The Secret of Constancy. Wealth is the fruit of perseverance. Consistency is the secret that separates dreamers from doers. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Persistence is the mark of true faith. Those who don't give up find doors that seemed locked swinging open." Too many people quit too soon. They cast out desires, make bold declarations, but at the first hurdle or delay, they slip back into a scarcity mindset. The Bible drives this home in Galatians 6 verse 9. "Let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap, if we do not give up." The message is clear. The harvest hinges on perseverance, not haste. Picture a farmer planting seeds. He knows each one needs time, water, and steady care. Watering today and forgetting tomorrow won't do. Every repeated action strengthens the roots and ensures a yield. In your financial and spiritual life, it's the same. Your daily thoughts, words, and actions are like watering that invisible soil. Florence advised building rituals of consistency, like reviewing your prosperity decrees every day, practicing gratitude even when bills feel tight, making small, regular, intentional decisions to invest and act. Each faithful, repeated act creates an invisible force that walks beside you, opening opportunities and aligning people and circumstances to fuel your progress. It's the law of perseverance. The universe rewards those who keep going. Joseph's story in Egypt is a perfect example. Sold as a slave, betrayed by his brothers, wrongfully imprisoned, he never abandoned his faith or discipline. His success came because he stayed consistent in character, vision, and service, even in the worst circumstances. God prospered him because he didn't give in to despair. Ask yourself, how many times have you started something only to bail at the first obstacle? Now imagine what could happen if you stayed the course, repeating your words of faith, acting with discipline, and trusting abundance as a certainty. The difference between wanting wealth and actually achieving it comes down to one thing: not quitting. Practical tip: set aside 15 minutes every morning to reaffirm your decrees, visualize your wins, and plan your daily actions. Daily consistency builds the flow that turns dreams into reality. If you're ready to make consistency your ally in prosperity, hit that like button. Share in the comments one habit you'll stick to daily to build wealth. Subscribe and turn on notifications to keep learning how to transform your financial life with faith, discipline, and perseverance. Remember, wealth isn't luck, it's persistence. Those who sow with consistency reap lasting fruit. Chapter 10. The Final Revelation. The Pact Between Your Will and the Divine Plan. The final step to achieving true wealth isn't just about wanting or acting. It's about aligning your personal will with the divine plan. Florence Scovel Shinn put it powerfully: when your will harmonizes with God's will, the impossible becomes inevitable. This is the secret few grasp. Material and spiritual wealth reflect a mind and heart in tune with the Creator. Have you ever noticed how some efforts, even intense ones, feel fruitless, while others, seemingly small, bloom miraculously? The difference lies in alignment. The Bible says in Proverbs 16 verse 3, "Commit to the Lord whatever you do, and He will establish your plans." It's not just about planning or hustling. It's about recognizing a higher intelligence guiding the paths of those who persevere in faith. Think of your mind as a musical instrument. If you play out of tune, the sound is jarring, frustrating, and out of sync with the universe. But when you learn to tune your will to the divine melody, every note, Every thought, word, and action flows in harmony with the abundance already waiting to manifest. Florence taught simple yet powerful practices to stay aligned. Decree daily. I allow God's will to manifest in my life, guiding my decisions and my gains. Visualize your prosperity as already done, feeling gratitude in advance. Trust the signs, opportunities, and synchronicities, knowing everything works for your growth. Consistency in these acts forms an invisible pact. Your will partners with the divine plan, and the universe responds with resources, open doors, and the right people. It's the silent agreement that turns effort into steady results, anxiety into confidence, and fear into courage. Look at Abraham. He received divine promises but didn't see instant results. Yet his daily faith and obedience forged a pact with God that, in time, was fully realized. You too are building your own pact step by step, not just with the universe but with the ultimate source. Practical exercise. Today, take 10 minutes to align your will with God. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and repeat silently. May my will be in complete harmony with God's will, and may all my resources flow in abundance. Do this daily and watch opportunities arise like never before. Like this video if you're ready to seal this pact of abundance. Share in the comments how you felt this divine connection shaping your financial decisions. Subscribe and turn on notifications to keep learning how to transform your wealth with faith, alignment, and perseverance. The final revelation is simple yet profound. Wealth isn't just work or luck. It's the natural outcome of aligning your will with a divine plan. When you get this, abundance stops being a dream and becomes a sure, illuminated, inevitable path. True wealth isn't just about the money you get. It's about the harmony you create between your will, your faith, and the divine plan. When you learn to want with clarity, believe without doubt, and act with discipline, you unlock a steady stream of prosperity. Everything comes together when your thoughts, words, and actions align with spiritual and biblical principles. Abundance is a reflection of your inner harmony and absolute trust in God. See you in the next video.